Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk for America.
I'm Mac, CEO of National Streaming Sports Network and the host of the Mac and Jack Sports Show, and you're watching Our Lady of Sports, Sonia Pearson, host of Prim and Proper Sports. Thanks for watching.
Good evening, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Wonderful Wednesday, that is, February 12th, 2025. I hope everybody's having an amazing day today. This is what I do. Prim and Proper Sports. You heard Mac. Download the Roku app so that you too can be in the know for Northeast professional sports. Big shout out to Linda and Mac over there, the producers extraordinaire. Y'all, I'm so glad to be on live tonight. I thought I was going to have an issue because my power has been out all day because it's been so rainy in Atlanta. But thank you for my friend Katrina, who let me hang out at her house until the power was restored. And now I'm safe and sound back home tonight. So good evening, one and all. Hope you're safe in your neck of the woods. Y'all, I've been promising you a treat, and it is here. And let's be clear before I introduce this person. He should be the bearer of a Super Bowl ring right now. It's none other than my friend, Brian Arndt, the friend extraordinaire, Detroit Lions. Brian, good evening. How are you tonight?
I am wonderful. Happy Wednesday to you. While you're having your storms in Atlanta, we are having 6 to 8 inches of snow happening right now.
Well, Atlanta's had 2 rounds of snow in the month of January. Now that I'm back, I'm kind of looking forward to it again. It was cold enough. It was 39 today at 2 o'clock. So just above freezing. You just never know. And, weather forecasters, not that we're meteorologists over here, they have pivoted and said, don't be shocked if there's a late little chance of snow, even up through March for the Atlanta area, because this weather is bipolar. So, Brian, tell us a little bit about yourself. I'm so excited you're joining us tonight. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm honored to be on the show. I was born in the D. I was born in Detroit. I served in the Navy from 87 to 91. Which I know we talked about the Pearl Harbor thing when you went to Hawaii. That was an eye-opening experience for me, too. I am the father of 3, pawpaw of 4, and 4 grandkids. I've been involved in sports broadcasting since 2017. And one of my favorite quotes, I don't know if it's like, it's just something I like. It's just a quote that I like. It kind of goes some days, and some days it's kind of like what, but it's from a quote from The Replacements. It's a football movie with Keanu Reeves. Really good. I love that movie. It's one of my favorite football movies. Pain heals, chicks dig scars, glory lasts forever. That's one of my favorite quotes.
Yes.
So,
and it is. And thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Navy is definitely an extraordinary branch to be a part of. And I actually considered the Navy myself in high school. Talked to a recruiter, had the whole shebang set up, and then switched to Air Force. But my dad blocked all of that. So he didn't want any of his girls carrying a gun. I sometimes wonder how different my life would have been, because I always had aspirations in going through JAG. And so that's because I wanted to be an attorney even as a child. So I wanted to go through JAG. And so now here I am. Fast
You would
forward in
be
law
you would
school.
be a broadcast NCIS type of person. That's what you would be, you know.
All of that, all of that. But welcome to our show. We have a great time here. And hello to REM Dizzle 412 Coach Quinn.
What is up, Robbie?
Hi, Robbie. Thank you. You do look like Dan Quinn. Let's just jump right into it. This hour goes by super fast. And at the halfway mark, we do have to give our shout out to the Huddle Sports Network, which I'm also airing on there. This episode will re-air tomorrow morning at 2 a.m. Valentine's Eve on Northeast Professional Sports on YouTube and Roku. And it will also air tomorrow at 10 a.m. on the Huddle Sports Network. And so, Brian, let's just chop right to it. The Super Bowl, Philadelphia Eagles, Kansas City Chiefs, trying to get the three-peat. Did you watch the whole game is my first question.
I'm gonna be honest with you. The only thing I watched in the Super Bowl was a halftime show, and I watched that minimally too. I mean, it wasn't like I wasn't part of the Super Bowl because my phone kept going off every 5 seconds because I got every sports network thing on here, so app on here. So I was keeping pace with it, but and I did go back and watch some highlights and stuff like that just to catch up on it because I was kind of, well, first of all, Detroit wasn't there, so that totally shut me down anyway, and they should have been there.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like Kansas City and I don't like Philadelphia. I think those are like the two worst teams I want to see in the Super Bowl. I hate both of them. But hate's a strong word. I dislike both of them. I'm glad City didn't three-peat. I didn't think they were anyway. Doesn't matter who they played. I didn't think they had a chance. They were getting away with so much stuff during the regular season. Super Bowl, they kind of let things go.
Mm-hmm.
If you know what I mean. So I didn't see them winning that anyway. But from what I saw in the highlights, Mahomes had kind of a golf kind of game. He really lost the game for him. He did. He lost the game for him.
He did. I mean, I never thought about it until you just mentioned it, that it's very comparable to Jared Goff. And let's go back. Let's go back, Brian, because I really was rooting for you guys since game one. I was like, you know what? The Lions are going to go all the way. It's going to be Lions versus the Bills. Those are the only two teams I wanted to see in the Super Bowl. I said that from the preseason. And it looked like it was really going to happen. Like everybody, so many people in this country were rooting for you all. Like we really were. Because we felt like, okay, the Eagles, they've been there before. The Bills, we want them there too, because they hadn't been in 30 years. Then we saw the Commanders come out of nowhere. Jaden Daniels, rookie of the year as well. Dan Quinn, no stranger to the Super Bowl, coming out of being the defensive coordinator with the Cowboys. Now back to the head coaching him. His last time head coaching was the Atlanta Falcons in that 28-3, which wasn't the final score, but that's what everybody remembers. And so this was his time to be redemptive, to go back to the Super Bowl. But I'm going to tell you what I said. When Washington defeated you guys and removed you all from Super Bowl contentions, number one, I was upset. Number two, even though I liked the Commanders as a child when we didn't have the Panthers, the Commanders were my team, Redskins, back in the day. I was just like, for them to get obliterated by Philly, I'm like, y'all should have left Detroit alone. Detroit could have far better handled the Eagles than the Commanders did, because at the end of the day, it became another NFC East matchup. They had already faced each other twice, and the only thing the Eagles did was gain momentum through the experiences of their loss and wins through the regular season. So it's like a bad storm. It's like a tornado. It just picks up momentum and picks up speed. The more it goes along, the more debris gets picked up, and it's just more dangerous and more lethal. When you all played that game against Washington, aside from the fact that you all did lose the game, what was your thoughts? Did you have a thought of, you know what? I missed the gunslinger being Stafford, the former quarterback, or did you feel like everything was just off across the board for Goff?
I think that this game was slowly based on how Goff performed in it. And I'm not going to beat Goff up for it because he had a hell of a season. He broke a lot of NFL records. He broke a lot of personal records. He broke a lot of Lions records. I mean, he was having one of those seasons. See, to be a Detroit Lion fan, you have to believe in certain entities that prevent the Lions from doing what they do. Last year, and I had to sit back after a while because I couldn't really get back into the mode of football after this whole situation happened. And because it was like, you know what, I'm really getting tired of Lions getting bad snap about everything. And then they go to they do such a great job. Dan Campbell put them in a position. They're 15-2. They got the number 1 seed in the NFL or in the NFC. They got home field advantage through the whole thing. That's all they were preaching about the whole season. This is what they wanted at the beginning of the season. And what's up, Nate?
Hi,
and it was just, when I look at it, it's a typical Lions curse that goes on. Last year, they played San Francisco in the division title, the conference final. They were killing San Francisco in the first half. I mean, killing them. But then in the second half, everything just turned around like a miraculous bad dream it was. And they were like the SOL, same old lines, in the second half. And that wasn't Goff's fault. That game was not Goff's fault. That was just people not dropping the ball when you should be catching it. One bad decision, in my opinion, by Dan Campbell. Instead of, when it was 30-27, I think it was. And instead of kicking the field goal, he decided to go for it, which I didn't think was good. Just kick the field goal, make the game even again. It's a brand new game at that point. And I think the players would have recovered. But I think the players were kind of down on themselves, especially Jahmyr Gibbs, because he fumbled the ball. He wasn't in the game that much after that.
That was shocking.
And I was like, I think they don't have confidence in themselves. And if you would have kicked the field goal, they would have said, okay, we can do this. We got to this point. Maybe we can eke it out. So I think that was a killer for the Lions at that point. But dropping the ball, Josh Reynolds, obviously he's not here anymore. There's a reason why, because, in big game, he did that in the Super Bowl with the Rams with Goff. Yeah. He had him wide open in the end zone one time officially, and he dropped the ball in the end zone. And, points were at a premium in that game. If you remember, there was kind of a defensive struggle between New England and the Rams.
Clearly.
And, if people would just, receiver's job is to catch the ball. They don't really care about you running after it. That's nice. But catching the ball is essence. That's what you get paid to do.
Yeah.
And Josh Reynolds didn't do that a couple of times in that game, and that's what cost them pretty much. And it was just so. And this year, they have all these accolades. They burned through the whole NFL schedule basically, and the only teams that got them were those Buffalo Bills and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But they pretty much burned through everybody. And the offense was going at a high pace. So when they get to this game and Goff has a bad game, I'm just like, it's got to be a curse. There's something going on here. There's something that's not – the stars are not aligning for this team to succeed where they need to succeed. And I don't know how much you pay attention to the Lions, but they had a curse. They tried to lift a curse with a local guy, Jeff Daniels, who's an actor, and Peyton Manning, of course. And it didn't work because it's not about the records. Okay. It's about the end result, and that's winning the Super Bowl. And 2 years in a row, something happened that screwed it up. So I don't know. I don't know what to go through from that point. I mean, I always want to have positivity toward the future for the Lions. And I'm always looking to see what they're going to do and stuff like that. And I'm still doing that, even though I'm very disappointed. But I had to just come to grips with myself and say, you know what? Goff just had a bad game, and he had it at a bad time. I'd still want him as my quarterback. Stafford would be fine. I love Stafford. Stafford's one of my favorite quarterbacks too in the NFL. But we have to take the ship who we get captained it with, and Goff is the guy. So that's what we have to do.
Nate says he can't unsee it. Brian, that's really a good point. Refs had no choice but to call a fair game. The fans were seeing the favorite of the Chiefs. We'll get to that in just a minute. RM Dizzle, please hang with us on that. We gotta build up to that. I want to talk about the Lions a little bit more here because everybody knows I've talked about the Lions most of the season. I'm like, hey, they're cats just like us. They're part of the feline crew. So cats roll with cats. Me being a Panthers fan, got my Panthers shirt on today.
Me too.
Yes. So I still feel like, just like you said, and I've been following the Lions not just this year. I started podcasting in 2017 myself, 2016, 2017. It did not take off until last year. Well, now we're in 2025. It took off in 2023 thanks to Mac and Linda over at Northeast Professional Sports because they found my podcast and reached out. And from there, it's just been a lot. I've been making some really solid connections. And I'd like to also thank them repeatedly because they are the reason why now I'm connected with you, Brian, because I was able to get on you guys' network. Let me take a small plug for you to tell us about the network you podcast with so you can get our audience to be geared towards that network.
So we do a podcast. It's not a scheduled one all the time. We're getting to that point, because we're Mirandering around, especially after the Lions loss. It was like, man, I don't feel like doing any podcasts, man.
Yeah.
And since we don't have a responsibility to the Huddle Network or networks that you're associated with, it's easier for us to make those decisions. But we do still have it. I have become full producer. I'm going to be in the background. I really kind of want to focus on one thing at a time. Our show is called One Ass Cheek and Three Toes. People won't get that too much. It's a Dan Campbell quizm. And he said it in his first year when he was coaching the Lions to the players when he was talking to them in the room before training camp started. And I just took that off and ran with it. We talk exclusively about the Lions in the majority of the time, but we do get into the other 31 teams. I kind of like that too, to talk about other teams because it does affect what the Lions do during the season as well. But we do that. Usually we used to do it every Sunday faithfully at around 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, just 11:30 a.m. 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, because one of our co-hosts, Nate, the one who just came up there, he's in Texas, so he's a Central Timer. Yeah. So we have to do it a little bit early. So it's 11:30 our time, 10:30 his time, and we do that show for about an hour and a half until game time starts. Depends. Sometimes if it's a Monday night game for the Lions, we'll do it like an hour before or hour and a half before the Monday night game.
Yeah, and I've had the blessing of being on that show, and thank you for explaining what it was, because I remember when Nate was like, "Hey, we want you to come on the show." I was like, "I'm coming on a show on a Sunday. Name that? Like, I go to church, Nate, but okay." I know the A word is in the Old Testament somewhere, and so I was like, "I don't get it, but here it is," and I'm just like. So when I was advertising it to my audience, I just put the A with the $sign. Like, guys, this is what I'm going to be on. Tune in.
Well, our Facebook page can't be named that. We tried to put, the one A cheek and three toes, but it wouldn't allow us. So we had to put one butt cheek. And just like, it doesn't have the same essence when you say it that way. So we kind of trying to do something different. We're going to try to do something different on our social platform on that. It doesn't bother X, and it sure don't bother Instagram. So as much stuff that you see on there,
I'm gonna tell you, Facebook does absolutely too much. I had a friend page because everybody knows I started the all-female fan club for the Carolina Panthers, the Carolina Pantherettes, and it's a private club page that we had like 10,000 members before Cam left. Now we're about close to 8,000. Still a lot of ladies. But I started a regular page that people could follow, but I tried to start an actual friend page, and I named it the Carolina Panthers. Facebook's reaching out to me, asking me to send me their ID, my ID that shows my name is that. or they're going to change the name. Just like my Facebook page, that's all things football from a lady's perspective. I'm trying to change it to Prim and Proper Sports, and they keep denying it. And I'm like, why? It's not offensive. No one has this name. I've already run it through the trademark check because the Carolina Pantherettes name is trademarked. So I know how to do all of that. Facebook does way too much. And just like you said, I've heard about X. I'm just like, I had a friend that pulled up X one day, and I was like, what kind of stuff do you research on here that all that's in your news feed? And she was like, girl, I just looked at one thing, and now I was like, this is the old school, what was it? HBO After Dark. This X is off the chain. X is like, it's worse.
Instagram isn't far behind it either.
Yes. And so I guess, this is just the times we're in. So thanks for letting everybody know how to reach you on that. And everybody's still, rooting for the Lions. However, little bleak news, you guys have 30 pending free agents. 30, and there's a 52-man roster. I don't know if this is inclusive of the people that are not on the actual active roster or not, but Marcus Davenport's one of the main names, the edge rusher. You guys have veteran edge rusher. He got a 1 year, $6.5 million deal in 2024 to support Aiden Hutchinson, and who's the star, of course. And of course, it's kind of like your manager, Brian Holmes, at the time felt like Aiden needed help at that position. Now it didn't work out. And Davenport got injured, has an elbow injury in week 3 of all weeks. Like as soon as the season started, he was done. So he basically got a check for free. And so now, Joseph Grassano believes Davenport will be a one and done in Motown. And there's a plethora of other names. You guys have already lost Ben Johnson. You start losing your OC and DC. Those are like who prop up your HC, the head coach. What is the vibe like in Detroit? We really want you guys to go back for a 3-peat because you were so close, but it's just becoming more and more difficult. And Dan Campbell said it last year that it's extremely difficult to get back, but you all did it only to be, brought down by the most unexpected team, the Commanders.
Well, again, I don't think it was anything the Commanders did. I knew they were going to come and play. I mean, Dan Quinn has those guys ready. I mean, he's a great coach too. And Jaden Daniels, that dude is fire and ice. He's on fire, and he plays with ice going through his veins. It's awesome. He's just an awesome rookie. Dude. He's just great. Kudos to him for winning Offensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, right? Too. Did he win Rookie of the Year too? So I mean, he deserved it.
I think Offensive Player went to Saquon.
Saquon, okay,
yeah.
Any award that he got, he deserved because he played awesomely. I really liked the Washington Commanders at the beginning of the year too. In fact, one of my co-hosts on my old show, he said that the Washington Commanders would probably get in the playoffs and maybe win the East at the time. This is the beginning of the season. He was pretty close. They were second, and they did beat Philadelphia once. So.
Very, very close.
So that's really good job. I thought the Commanders could be great too. I didn't think the Giants were going to do anything. I didn't think Dallas was going to do anything, and I was just still waiting to see if Philadelphia was going to put together their team. That is a deep team. So, but anyway, off that subject. As far as the 30 free agents, some of those will get re-signed. The other guy that you didn't mention is Emmanuel Mosley. Yeah. Dude has been living on a paycheck for the last 3 years. It's time for him to go.
I forgot all about him because what is he doing?
Nothing. And he well, okay. The first year he got hurt. Mm-hmm. The second year he came back, played 20 minutes in a 20 minutes. I don't even think it was 5 minutes. 5 minutes in the game, and he got hurt again. So he was out that year. This year he comes into training camp, hurts his pectoral. So then he's out for a while. And then I don't know what the vibe is with him because he came back like week when they played Indianapolis. He came back, but he was on special teams. Mm-hmm. He was on special teams. and he was in and out of that, but he was never put into a starting position or put into a backup corner position. I don't know if that's because they didn't like anything that they saw in him, or they thought that they had everything going with Vildor, who's another free agent, which we probably won't sign. I don't know. They liked Vildor better than they liked him. Were they playing out, everybody playing better than him in the practice? As far as the corners are going, I don't know because he had chances to be out there in the field, and I was trying to figure out, if you're not going to play him, just cut him, because I mean, at this point, you're just taking up roster space, and you could be using it for something else. So I don't know what was going on with Emmanuel, but he might not definitely. I think he won't be back this coming up year. So that's two of the 30 that I know aren't coming back. A lot of those 32, you got to remember, we signed a lot of players on a defense because we had defensive injuries. So a lot of those players will probably be gone too. If not, some of them will be on a practice squad. As for depth, we do have, and with all the rumors swirling around with Garrett, Crosby, and Parsons being, potentially on the trade block, I want to see how Brad Holmes navigates this coming off season, because to me, this is probably going to be the most critical. I said if Dan Campbell's a great coach, I said by year 5 we should be in a Super Bowl. We should have been in a Super Bowl year 3. Should have been in a Super Bowl this year, but it didn't happen. So again, I test that to the curse. Somebody's got to get rid of the curse. But yeah, I just got to see what's going on. That is a lot of free agents, but again, a lot of those free agents are guys that we brought in to take the place of starters that were injured, and then the second players that went down after them. So those will probably be all casualties. Most of those will be casualties of just being let go. As long as they sign, like Zadarius Smith is signed for 2 years, so he's not one of those. He'll be here another year before we have to go and renegotiate his contract too. But most of our rookies will be next year as well. JMO, Jameer. So we're good on those fronts. Brad Johnson has done a very good job of financially being fiscal about what's going on with the team. Like that's when he signed Goff, Amon, and I think it was Aiden, not Aiden. Aiden. No, it wasn't Aiden.
Jameer, Aiden Hutchinson.
It wasn't Jameer. It was Monty was the other guy they signed. Monty, Amon, and Panay was another guy.
Oh, Amon St. Brown,
yeah, Amon St. Brown. Got to sign those core pieces anyway. So, and that's good that he did that. And he did it before everybody else did it. So now, Dallas was looking stupid at the end because they waited so long to pay Dak, which was a bad move by Jerry, but that's a whole different.
He's hurt.
That's a whole different show.
He didn't even. He's another one of those. And speaking of Dallas, we got a few comments coming in here. Hello to Tasha Mikia, my soror. She said Dallas is a lost cause. LOL. I think that's her statement. She said the Commanders were outstanding. So talking about other NFC East plays, and your friend R.M. Dizzle was like, the refs had no choice but to call a fair game. So let's go ahead and we know Detroit. Let's actually get to this. With you all losing Ben Johnson, what will be the focus in the offseason for Detroit to make sure that, number one, that none of your key components, key players, don't leave and, go elsewhere, like to try to make sure you guys can get a third try at it?
Well, I give kudos both to Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn because both of them deserve head coaching jobs. I'm a little annoyed at Ben Johnson because he went to Chicago. Please, you had all these job openings. You really had to go to somebody in our division. Really, really, Ben, really, Ben. And then you stirring up the pot with in LaFleur in Green Bay talking about, we won 2 games again. I said, that was with Detroit. That's not with Chicago. Exactly. Get an offensive line. Call me later, okay?
Yes. I was going to talk about that as we were talking about what y'all need to do. I was going to be like, and by the way, but thank you for getting that to me.
So, but Aaron Glenn was worthy of his job. I thought he definitely deserved a head coaching job. He's going to be a really good head coach for the Jets, I think. His replacements, Shepard, he's a DC. He came up behind Aaron Glenn, obviously, he was the assistant to the assistant defensive coordinator, so he should be fine. We just got the defensive line coach, one of the best defensive line coaches from Tampa Bay, which replaced our other defensive line coach that was stolen from us. So, but we're getting in the guy that we got as an offensive coordinator is the one who taught Ben Johnson. So
there you go.
We're not bad in the coordinator. I'm sure the plays that, and Ben Johnson's a brilliant play caller. Okay. He makes stuff work that I've never seen work in the NFL in my entire life. He is good at that. He is very good. That's going to be an aspect that the Lions are going to miss. However, now that the Lions have grown, they're boys to men now. They know how to run the offense without having to be so tricky sometimes. They can do things and still get the results that they need. So I'm not worried about that aspect of the offensive coordinators. It was going to happen sometime. It just happened this year. So I thought it was going to happen after they won a Super Bowl, which Ben Johnson said he was going to leave after the Super Bowl.
Right.
If they won a Super Bowl. I was like, okay, but you just went back on your word, bro. Okay. Whatever.
He did. He really, really, really went back on his word. But I don't know. You guys seem to be able to have the solid pieces still in a row. If you keep your nucleus intact, even though you've lost these pivotal pieces of the puzzle, the Detroit puzzle, it's going to be interesting to see how, Dan Campbell continues on with now a third attempt at a Super Bowl run. You got a lot of people still pulling for you guys, Brian. And so with that, sadly, I have to, move to the next segment of the show, which is the Super Bowl. But before we do, let Brian and I give you about a 92-second break as we give a shout out to the Huddle Sports Network. We will be right back.
This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
All right, that was our plug for the Huddle Sports Network. They told you how to find them and all that good stuff. Shout out to Mike Carico, the Tundra Network, Frozen Tundra Network, all the NFC North affiliates, Ken and Ken, all of you guys, thanks for putting me on. Check them out, y'all. They have a lot of great shows. Brian is affiliated with that network as well. And, we all just, giving you the sports that you want. And as football season wraps up, of course, we'll be pivoting towards some other sports, such as, of course, hockey, NBA. But you guys know NFL never stops. Now, Brian, we're going to sadly pivot to, somewhere you didn't make it. Let me just first put out there. I know 1,000% how you felt, because when the Panthers went to the Super Bowl in 2016 and we lost like that, the very next year when Atlanta, of all teams, went, our rivals in the same division, I was not trying to watch that game except to ensure that they lost. But, they lost, and it was on my, it was actually back then, it was on my birthday weekend, and I was on a cruise, and I was, a lot of my coworkers at the time, I worked in the court system, they were teasing me. They had this whole red and black day, and they were like, we're going to buy you a Falcon shirt. I was like, do not waste your money. It's just going to get set on fire. But I was nice at the end. I was like, I've been living in Atlanta now, longer than I lived in the Carolinas, even though that's my home state. And so, if you all win the game, you got this nice, pretty stadium. I'll congratulate you. I'm not going to become a fan, but I will congratulate you. Well, they lost. And I was the worst person they ever wanted to see coming for a long time. They never, and the thing is, people could heckle me about my Super Bowl, but they couldn't take it. Every time I started to bring it up, they were like, oh, it's too soon. I'm like, too soon? It's not even the season no more. Like, when is it not too, but I will be honest, to this day, Brian, I have not watched Super Bowl 50 in its entirety, which was the Panthers versus the Broncos. Once the halftime hit and I saw how we were losing, I left. I was at a friend's house. I left her house. I cried all the way home. I got home. I got into bed. I was super late for work the next day because it felt like somebody died. So I know, because we were freaking undefeated. We had only lost one game, and it was to these buzzards down here in Atlanta. And there was no way anybody could have told me we were going to lose the Super Bowl. I felt like I was so confident I could have slept through the Super Bowl and just wake me up when it's over and congratulate me. I was so and I was very out there with it. I was like, yeah, we just here because they're on the schedule. FX Sports, Dan Patrick, all of them, they know who we are. They say defense wins championship. We got no one defense. We got no one offense. Like, we are that. Like, who can beat us? Nobody. And so I felt like it literally felt like somebody died. So I can imagine with Detroit now going back for their second time. I empathize with you before we start this line of questioning. You already came on and said you didn't really even watch the game. I don't blame you. And so with that, I guess we'll go ahead and start with the halftime show first, since you watched that. Kendrick Lamar, Mustard. What'd you think about it? Are you a Kendrick Lamar fan?
I love Kendrick Lamar. He's one of my favorite rappers of this century. He's one of my favorite rappers of the century. Obviously, I'm from Detroit, so we have Eminem, and they work together really well. In fact, I think Kendrick even gave M his props. He said, I learned a lot from M when I listened to his music. And let me just put this as a sidebar. M doesn't get played at clubs because M doesn't have club type of rap music. Okay,
no, he doesn't.
Stop with that stuff. Okay,
that's
not M's. It's
y'all better grab 8 Mile Road if you don't know, because M done talked about his daughter, his baby's mama at the time, like putting them in a car. Like, I know hip hop and rap, and I've had M's albums. They can't be played at the club because somebody might not make it out of there alive. It's that bad.
But and on the flip side, there's 50 cents. But anyway, but Kendrick, I thought his performance was great. I didn't think just the halftime show was the greatest as far as how they prepped it. I think he did a very good job. I think SZA did a good job. I loved Serena crip walking, although I am still kind of questioning that, because her sister got killed by a crip.
Yes.
And I'm trying to figure that out. But she did that at the Wimbledon too. She did a smaller version of that. Wimbledon.
Yeah, her sister Yatumba Price. Price got killed in 2003 in September.
Yeah, so that always got me scratching my head. So, Serena, why are you doing that? And your sister got killed. Okay, whatever. Yeah. It's your world, Serena. We just living in it. Okay, girl, you're the greatest tennis player ever. But at the same time, this brought out two different sets of emotions for me watching this. I understand what his message was saying to the people. I like his woke messages. At the same time, though, I'm a traditionalist. I'm old school. So I'm kind of like in the back of the Prince and the Michael Jacksons. I want entertainment, Yeah. Like I said, I love Kendrick. Kendrick did his thing. He did his thing. He did. But I think in this culture that we live in right now, we're going to see more of these halftime things, and not just in football. It'll be in basketball and all that, hockey and, all that woke stuff. Okay. And that's fine. I understand that. However, where'd the entertainment value go in this century? We don't really have that much entertainment. I loved Rihanna when she was there. I want entertainment. I want people that are going to go out there and sing, do songs that, you grew up with. I'm not have to be old school. This century's artists are pretty good. Not all of them, but Most. Oh, all right. And like I like Maroon 5. Okay.
Oh,
They particularly didn't do
yes.
they didn't do a particularly very good job at their
Yeah,
Super
they
Bowl.
did.
It's
And
hard to
I
say.
was shocked. I was like, as
Yeah.
good as your albums, I have their album.
Yep. I got all of them too. And as fiery and as energetic as Adam Levine is, you would think they would have some kind of, but it wasn't. And I was kind of disappointed.
Teamed up with Party Next Door or The Weeknd and made it spectacular. That's the collaboration I was looking for.
And I think the thing that's what Maroon 5 didn't have in there is I think really the perfect person I would have had put with them was Rihanna. I mean, she did her thing in her own, but if she was with them, she did a song with them, so that would have been great to do. And then she's just energetic as it is anyway. It happens. She's not a bad person.
Shout out to Rihanna because her birthday's this month too. She's an Aquarian like me, and it's funny. I was talking about her earlier. I actually have my hair cut kind of like she did on her Diamonds video. So everybody knows I just cut my hair off a couple of weeks ago. So it was Rihanna inspired.
Oh, there you go. All right, Riri. Yeah. There's artists like that. I like to have on there. I mean, I'm not a big Beyonce or a Taylor Swift fan by any means. I'm not. I don't like rolling with. I don't want to be a Swiftie or a B. No, I'm not. I love Beyonce when she was younger, on her own, after the group.
Destiny's Child,
yeah, I liked her then. But it's kind of like she's gotten too commercial and she's trying to do everything. And Beyonce, come on, man.
I mean, she did a good job.
And Taylor Swift's the same way too. I love Taylor Swift when she first came out and was being poppy from country. I like that, But then she started doing the same. I'm like, what is wrong with? And people love them though.
Yeah,
they're the number one and number two best-selling female. Well, actually, Rihanna's in between. But Rihanna's the best.
And Rihanna now has her makeup line, so she's one of the top paid female entertainers as well, thanks to her Fenty, which is her last name, Robin Rihanna Fenty. So she has a whole makeup line. I wear it. But I'm the same way, Brian. Like I'm a kind of roll it back to what we first started talking about here with the halftime show. I feel like two things happen because they always say two things can be true at once sometimes. They figured out. Let's roll it back, not to be political, but they realized Trump was going to be there. That's part one. There's a lot of unrest in this country amongst a lot of people because of the election, but that's who we elected. That's who's the commander in chief. And now we have to roll with whatever he decides, including the Gulf of America that was renamed yesterday by Google Maps. Number two, there has been an ongoing beef between Drake and Kendrick Lamar since last May, and Drake had his attorneys to file paperwork against UMG because his attorney said, hey, it's one thing to have a rap beef, but to keep saying that this man is a pedophile is now character assassination and it's defamation. And even in his performance, Kendrick asked the girls that was back there, he's like, I want to perform this song. Should I perform it? And there it's the girls with the red wigs. He's like, but they like to sue. They had just served him papers and he still must. The other part of it, Serena and SZA are ex-girlfriends of Drake. Nothing was by accident in that performance. The clown car, they cut out a SS and brought all these people out of there. They had Samuel L. Jackson dressed in this
as Uncle Sam.
Yes. But it was a message. But Kendrick Lamar is a Pulitzer Prize winner. He's highly intelligent. I didn't even know Serena could crip walk like that. Let's be clear. I mean, I think it's kind of like you're just a crip if you're from LA at this point. You are just a crip by nature. And like you said, though, if one of my family members is taken down by somebody, there's no way I'm honoring them in any way whatsoever. Dizzle said he's definitely I am a mustard. Right, so let's pivot to the game. I'm so glad, but I will say this. The Kendrick Lamar halftime show streamed more views than any other performance in NFL history. Beyond Prince, beyond Michael Jackson, like all of that. It ranked.
Well, I'm gonna put this to you. I'm gonna put this to you too, though. there wasn't the social media content that they had back in the day either.
That's what I was
So
gonna say.
it was streamed on everything. So yeah, I'm not taking nothing away from Kendrick, because like I said, I love Kendrick. That's my guy. But it's just like, it's a lot of things. It's like this is the most watched Super Bowl. I said, you got to be kidding me, because I know about 4 or 5 other people that are football fans like I am that didn't watch the Super Bowl.
So hold on, not the Super Bowl itself. In fact, this was the least watched Super Bowl. Only the halftime performance was the highest ranked. I think they had 138 million views or something on regular TV. The game itself, there was a 30% decline in tickets
after halftime.
Two reasons. Number one, the location that they had this. You cannot forget, unfortunately, what happened on New Year's Day in New Orleans.
Yeah.
That was there. Number two, the teams that were playing was the main thing. Nobody was willing to see the Chiefs go back. Nobody was thinking the Eagles were going to be there. They wanted Detroit and whoever else was going to be there. That's literally like, you guys can look this up. Everybody wanted freaking Detroit there. They wanted you all there. Like, it was so many people. And when they realized you guys were not there, it was like,
yeah, that's just another Super Bowl. In fact, I did read something where after Kendrick Lamar went off in halftime, off the halftime show, viewership dropped 1.3 million.
Exactly. I mean, the game was a blowout anyway. And let's be clear, I have not confirmed this, but I just wondered, did the sitting president sit through halftime? I doubt it. They only showed him one time. There's no way you're the first sitting president at a Super Bowl game and you're only showed one time. And the other good thing is we only saw Taylor twice because of the poor performance by the Chiefs. So that was a relief.
Thank God.
Right. All right, let's get to the hard part. I saved it for the end as we get ready to come upon our last 10 minutes, Brian. Were you shocked? Let's just keep it basic questions. Were you shocked that the game was such a blowout by the Eagles?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was a shock per se. I mean, and shout out to Cooper DeJean. That dude, rookie, had a pick six. I loved him. I loved him in college too. He was great. I love cornerbacks. That's just I was a cornerback in high school. So
okay, shout out.
But anyway, but I always follow my cornerbacks in college and in pros. So that ones that I like, and I love Cooper DeJean. He's great. But as far as the blowout is concerned, you know what? This is just something that was coming for Kansas City. Without the aid of those guys in the striped uniforms.
Yeah.
And I really don't. And the thing that surprised a lot of people when I say this, the AFC is not as good as people think it is. I think the NFC has better teams. The AFC is built of better quarterbacks, but they don't have better teams. And that's the thing that holds the AFC back, I think, a lot of times when they play in these Super Bowls. Last year, San Francisco against Kansas City, it was a whole different story. Kansas City was actually playing pretty well in that game. San Francisco was too, actually. Went to overtime. It was unfortunate that San Francisco lost, not really. But anyway.
Better than the Chiefs. Bitter. I would have rather the 49ers. I would have rather the 49ers.
I'm just being bitter, that's all.
I got you.
But yeah, so I mean, I saw this coming for a while that Kansas City was going to get beat at least by 2 touchdowns in a Super Bowl because they didn't have the help from the refs. And I don't care what the refs say. I don't care what the devil Goodell says. They are paid. When you bring Las Vegas into a sporting venue, you're setting it up to be like the WWF, WWE, whatever. So, you know, it's going to be that way. It's going to be, you know, all thrills. We're going to just let Kansas City in there so we can get people to watch. And then Kansas City will lose because we don't have to give them the support of the referees like we did the rest of the season. And they can't say, the referees can't say, oh, it's egregious that we didn't make calls for the man. Get out of here. Patrick Mahomes, I can give you about 10 plays. Patrick Mahomes, it should never been called roughing the quarterback on Patrick Mahomes. Never, ever, not even close.
Yeah, so, they started the game. The first or second play already with that. Everybody's like, here we go with the BS. Hold on. In the Super Bowl. And then they dialed it back. But the Eagles, knew going into this game they had to stay on the gas. You cannot stay one touchdown apart, not even two, because the Chiefs will come out. You saw how Patrick tried to come back in the end of the game, throwing back-to-back touchdowns to Worthy. I mean, but by that time it was too late. The score, if anybody didn't watch the game, the score was not indicative of the real butt whooping that the Eagles put on the Chiefs. Travis Kelce now does not know if he's coming back. And, what's up, Pink Fanfur? That's our girl behind the Reels promo, Pink Fanfur. Her info's on the tickler here. Make sure you guys check her out. She does her own show on our network as well now. She does makeup tutorials for the Ultimate fans. And she interviews professional fans across the CFP. I think it's fun fans. But check her out. She's on here as well. Thank you for supporting, sis. And RM Dizzle said the AFC has the best running back in the NFL. And she
Lamar
said Kansas
Jackson,
City got their kicked. That's right. They got their $8 kicked, their donkeys kicked. We were happy. So at least that was a good outcome. The trophy comes back to the NFC.
I think the other thing about it too is that's what you have to do to Kansas City. You have to beat the crap out of them so the referees don't play a part in the game. And that's true with any of the teams that were in the playoffs. You just got to beat the team. You got to beat the team senseless, or else you're gonna let the referees be fact. I mean, that was the fact of the whole season, really. If teams are allowing these other teams to stay around, they're going to get mad because a referee is going to call a bad call. It's just all and you're forced them to do that because you're playing these close games. And I understand if you don't have all the talent in the world and you're fighting for your life, it's just, and it happens to every team, more so to the Kansas City. But I know Detroit got a fair share of calls. I know Washington got a fair share of calls. Every team in the NFL got their fair share of calls that you're like, no, I think that should have been called, Yeah, I'm a Lions fan.
Yeah, they tried to give like a whole statistical thing that the Chiefs really were like number 31 for calls. But when the Panthers had Cam Newton, he was hit more than any quarterback and it was never called. And they basically made an allocation saying, well, he's a runner now. He's no longer a defensive player because once he comes out the pocket and decides to run the ball, it's, no holds barred for him. And now, you continue to see that. Now you got Patrick Mahomes, a.k.a. Gonzo, falling out all over the place. And let me allow myself for a quick minute. Exactly, Tasha, Crimea River, Kansas City. Let me let you speak with Pansy Gonzo real quick.
Hi, Brian. So, we weren't doing the best out there. I don't know what the hell was going on with Travis. I targeted Worthy a couple of times, but I just became a new dad. So I'm just happy we're here. And, we're going to go. We'll be here next year. We won't be the first, we won't be the last. Chiefs or die.
Thank you so much, Pat, for your time. Travis, we know you're not interviewing with anybody. So there's that. And Taylor didn't come down. In fact, they were so mad that today Kadarius Toney got his butt arrested in Atlanta for choking somebody. So you mad?
He's not even on the Kansas City Chiefs anymore.
They're not. They're the chefs and the refs.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised he got accused of choking somebody. He actually held on to something for a minute.
There you go. There you go. And I love that. And speaking of, RM Dizzle just said Pat Mahomes should switch to Allstate because State Farm got him messed up. I know that's right. That's a good one, RM Dizzle. It's a joke after my own kind. Pink says, I don't think that first touchdown, it sure wasn't. It sure was not. It sure was not. It sure was not. And I mean, we seeing it and y'all got all this replay and don't see it. But we digress. So as we get ready to, they won. Everybody knows it. If you want to know more about that garbage game, go ahead and just look it up because we're not going to give it no more energy tonight. Brian, I do want to actually ask you, he went to Taylor Swift. They said she didn't even come down there, though, Tasha. She didn't even come down there. Yeah, wide receiver. We got you, Pink. You guys coming up in, now that the off season's here, and what do you guys see yourselves doing in the draft?
With Brad Holmes, this is like one of the GMs that it's a mystery. He makes good sound decisions when he drafts. I don't think he's missed on too many draft picks since he's been here, and that's what he was known for in LA as well. But if they don't, it depends on what they do during free agency. If they do trade for an edge rusher, I know for certain if they trade for an edge rusher, whether it be Garrett, Crosby, one of those two, if he goes all out and does that, I don't think they're going to re-sign. They're definitely not re-signing. What's his face? The other side, not Mosley, the other defensive end. I don't even know him because he doesn't play. So anyway, so they definitely won't sign him there. I think that they are going to do the same thing that they did last year, address the defense, but they're going to address the line. I think they have capable corners right now. I think Arnold is good in taking the number one spot. Amik played awesome last year or this season when he was in the number two spot, and I was very surprised at that. I loved Amik too. I loved Amik when he was a Raider. He's a very fiery guy. He's like our older version of Brian Branch. That's what he is. I think Brian Branch, by the way, needs to have a better season this coming up season. I don't think he had too great of a season. Of course, Kirby had a great season. He had the league leading interceptions, and he didn't get Defensive Player of the Year. Whatever. Anyway, but we still have Dan Campbell. Dan is the man. I think that as long as we have his energy, everything down the line will be fine. We do have a harder schedule this year. We got to go play in Kansas City. We have to go play in Philadelphia. At least Dallas is coming here so they can get their butt kicked in our house this time instead of their house. But other than that, I mean, Zadarius Smith. No, Zadarius Smith is signed for 2 years there, Robbie. So we don't have to worry about him. He's going to be here next year.
I will say this. As of 4 hours ago, it was reported that you guys are looking to expedite Max Crosby coming to Detroit. And they are saying that basically it's going to be a wild offseason for Detroit because Crosby is one of these guys that said he wants to stay in Vegas, and said he was a Raider for life, quote. But there are ties with him and Detroit. And so sometimes it's one of those things. I mean, we've seen it in the NBA. It's out of your hands. But once they come, I mean, at the end of the day, you're still getting the money and you're probably going to get more wins. So, Max, you may as well come on over to Detroit and everything. But I know you guys are, what is your draft pick? Y'all are what, number 25 or something in the draft?
8th.
Okay. I know it's way down the
road.
No,
it's a little bit higher than that. I think it is 25 or 26, somewhere around there. Yeah. I haven't looked at the draft things
Maybe
yet.
if you guys trade up for another draft pick as well. Let's see.
It depends. I mean, right now, usually drafts nowadays, in recent years, usually the first 10 guys are a bet coming off the board that are going to be good. You got your guy that might come in there and be the Tom Brady of your draft, maybe a couple of guys, but it's not like the old drafts where, you might have 2 or 3 guys in the 3rd or 4th round break out and do all kinds of great stuff. It's more, the draft is more consolidated now. I think it's because of the way that the college football is ran now with the NIL and that they get paid anyway. So this is not a big jump. I mean, it's a big jump for them, but it's not a big jump. When you're in college and you don't get paid, you're playing to get paid. Whereas now they're getting paid in college. So, I mean, I go to NFL. That's fine. Whatever. They're not playing with the emphasis and they don't know how to tackle anymore. So.
Yeah, you guys are at number 28. You need an edge, a cornerback, a wide receiver, OG, and a DT. Injuries to edge defenders Aiden Hutchinson and Marcus Davenport force you guys to trade for Zadarius Smith at the midseason deadline. And if you guys get another young pass rusher, that's going to be real crucial for you guys. And the fact that Davenport is now going to become a free agent and Smith is turning 33. So that's going to be pretty big, but we have all confidence that we will not have seen the last of you all in playoff contentions, and we're rooting for you guys. And unfortunately, that's the time that we have tonight. Brian, you have an ongoing invitation to rejoin us anytime. It's been absolutely fun. Any final words to our audience before we sign off here tonight?
Well, I do want to thank Pink Fan for she was the one that got me set up for your show. She was awesome. She was very professional and awesome at the same time. So, and I like the way she did her name too. That was that was ingenious.
Yes, she's absolutely amazing. And I'm going to tell you, she's a Carolina Panther fan like I am. That's how we first connected. She's more like a sister, a friend. And I'm going to tell you, once I started law school, she became invaluable because there were so many days I was running in from class and was like, listen, I have not had time to contact anybody. So she ensures everything runs smoothly. She does all the promos. She's super talented with that. She's extremely talented, and I'm so blessed to have her in my corner. So thanks again, Pink Fanfare. I love you, sis, and thank you. And Brian, we look forward to you again. Tell our audience as we get ready to close your platform again when y'all do these random podcasts.
So again, the show is 1A cheek and 3 toes, just to keep it clean. And we're on usually 11:30 a.m. on Fridays or on Sundays. On Sundays on the football season. Now, I don't know how we're going to be working the off season because, of course, we got free agency coming up, the draft, blah, 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 training camp. Mm-hmm. So we'll probably be mixing in our shows in there, but we'll keep everybody informed. We're on. I do have a YouTube page for us, and that's the one. And then Instagram, we have an Instagram, and I don't know if we have X yet. No, we don't have X yet. We're going to get X. Ugh. And we have a Facebook page, which is called One Butt Cheek and 3 Toes. So if you want to subscribe to that, you're willing to do that as well.
3 toes is 3 toes and 1 spelled out, or is the letter?
It's 3 is it's 3 and then TOES.
Okay,
and then one is O. The 1 is a 1. It's ONE. And
okay, so let me know if I got this right. Is that it?
Yep, you got it.
I can write it. I just couldn't say it. Thanks, monetization. Thank you. Brian, it's been amazing. Like I said, I'd love to have you back on and chop it up, not too much longer from now. You don't even have to wait to the season. If you want to jump back on with us again next week for a part 2, more than willing to talk about that because football is an ongoing sport. We want to thank everybody that came on tonight for all the likes, love, shares, comments, commentary. And like I said, this will re-air at 2 a.m. tomorrow on YouTube and Roku channel if you guys caught the tail end of the show. And it will air tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Huddle Sports Network. Other than that, I will be back with you guys Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's my Friday with the fellas. Brian and I will at this point bid you all a good night, and we thank you very, very much.